thanks everybody for coming this early on a Sunday morning. So the title is Your Brain on Drugs on our website, and then exploring recreational drugs using smartphone games. So that's changed a little bit from the title of the programme, make it a bit more clear exactly what we're doing, and it's recreational drugs. We're looking at people using drugs in their everyday lives, and we want to assess them in their everyday lives on their own phones and give them information about how that's affecting their brains, so cognitively, emotionally, and experientially. That's a project with myself, Alexander here, and Mark Carrigan, who's a sociologist from Warwick. So let's go straight through it. I'm going to talk pretty fast through it because I want to get some questions at the end on feedback from you. We're in the middle of creating this project, so we want as many suggestions as we can from people like yourselves who are interested in this sort of topic. So let's start here. So motivations behind this project sort of came to me from this image is from our website. I have no idea what is in that cup, but I guarantee you, if you gave that to 100 different people, one of them would drink it. And that's kind of the situation we've got at the moment with the recreational drugs that are coming out. Last year, in 2010, 40 new recreational drugs appeared in the UK that had never existed before. What knowledge do people have of those? The research community certainly can't keep up. The casual users probably better informed than the research community. They see on the ground, see through their friends using these things, exactly what the effects are. So one sort of motivation behind this project is to try and capture that knowledge for the research community and for the users in a beneficial way, both for the positive experiences and for any of the drugs which have really sort of quite negative things. A lot of these things that are created in laboratories quite often for a profit motive rather than for actual decent motives. Other considerations within this project is that most people, when using drugs, are using more than one drug at any one time. In fact, if you have an Irish coffee, you're already taking caffeine and alcohol, and that makes you a polydrug user, in my view. And in laboratories, we usually only focus on one drug at one time. That is not people's experience when taking drugs. So we're also interested in capturing this rich, multi-substance experience and how these things are interacting. And so, it's really true that when you are self-experimenting, you need better data than exists out there already. And another common point is that the bigger the data set we have on any of these things, the better informed we all are. Everybody benefits from more knowledge. Now, why are we on to smartphone? Well, not quite everyone these days, but increasingly so. Almost everyone has smartphones, and smartphones are very clever. You can do a lot of things with a smartphone. I'll hope to show you in the course of the talk. So, what we decided is that we would use that as a sort of a laboratory in your pocket to run psychological experiments, capture emotional data, and we want to do it in a fun way that people would actually be motivated to do. So we want to do it through making things into games. And I'm going to talk you through the sort of format of that. The first version we're doing is just based on alcohol. We're going to go through trialing and prototyping it based on alcohol, but everything I'm about to say applies equally well to using this project to track your use of drugs. And that will be the ultimate goal, to have a version of this application which does that. Before I get into that, there's a few sort of caveats and sort of comments to make. That we are unaffiliated with our university employers for this project. It's something we're doing in our spare time. Mainly for two reasons. One, that it's going to work a lot quicker if we don't have to do it within the university sort of structure. And emphasise this is about individuals, it's not about the science, the data. It's for the uses of the phone that we're first, we're interested in first. All of the code for this project is open source. We're going to make it available to anybody that wants it. Similarly, all the data will be available to absolutely anybody that wants it. And the scientific process behind it, we're going to try and follow this idea of this starting to come out of open science, so that we tell you in advance what our hypotheses are, we present all the data, we don't try and hide any of the data anywhere, and we track the process, sort of open lab book online. You can follow the thought process behind any of this. And we're open-minded about what the findings are. We're not trying to be judgmental about the good and bad effects of any drug. So let's go on to the actual application, which I'm calling Boozalizer. I'll just take you through. This is the home screen of it. I can show it to you on here afterwards. Probably can't see it from there. But so first thing to go through is that we take as much or as little personal information as you can give us, and there's a privacy setting. So you don't have to send your data to our website. You don't have to even record the data on your phone. You can just take individual snapshots. And I'll come back to something about the data on the next slide. But yeah, it's completely up to you what proportion you give. We hope that people will be wanting to send us data, because when we get a database of data, it becomes interesting for everybody. And I have a feeling that people will. So the first thing that you start with in this application is entering what you've drunk. So just type in what you've drunk. Then we sort of ask you how you're feeling. You give us a little bit of feedback on that. This little icon there, if I'm going to add a little letter. So that's where you can actually type in a little note to yourself, or a comment about how you're feeling at a particular moment. So you can tag a moment in the experience with a note to yourself, and then launch the actual games, and I'll show you a couple of those. And then the interesting bit for me as a psychologist and a scientist is the feedback that you're going to get from that. So it won't just be high scores, but there'll be charts that track your performance in various different ways, and other types of feedback. And that, at this point, we're evolving that. It's something that we haven't any actually preconceived ideas at this point. Right, this is a bit scary slide. Unfortunately, it was supposed to appear one thing at a time. I'll talk you all the way through it. So here are our users out there in the world. And over here on this side is our website. So the first thing that happens if you want to send us your data is that it gets sent completely securely over HTTPS. And the moment it gets to us, we anonymize it completely. So we throw away all the stuff which identifies it as coming from an individual phone. It knows it comes from, always coming from a single phone, so there is an identifier that can patch it through, but none of that can actually ever come backwards out of the system, and from this side, we can never know who that person was. So that raw data, when we store it, is still secure. So when I said we're opening all our data, it's not strictly true for the first level of data that comes in. That is still secure, just in case we've missed out in anonymizing data is a very tricky business. Not something we know to be ourselves to be experts in. So we're going to keep that data as secure as possible, and only initially process things without any individual identifiers for the person. So that data then, the process data is available to everybody, and we'll use that to do demographic charts, consumption charts, charts over time, geographical charts, which we can then send back to your phones, to our website, and make available scientists who want to process it, who can feed that back into us. If they've done a particular analysis on our data set, they can feed back to us how's it working and what they found. So going into the application itself, so this is the drinks entry screen. You just press on the drinks to click what you've had.